Hey, and it's work this time. We are live.
Are we live?
So, yeah, no more pissing about with wires and your tablet and whatever.
Oh, good. Glad it's actually worked.
I'm just going to share it to Facebook.
Yeah.
I can work out how to do that. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You heard that that Matt Lucas baked potato thing?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, it's brilliant. I can't stop singing it at the minute, which is
really
pissing everyone off, but it is catchy as. So what have you been up to anyway, mate?
Just all working for me. All good fun, as you know. So it's nice to actually come out and have a bit of a. I say come on air and have a bit of a chill time with you and actually see you for a bit.
Yeah, I've had it a bit flat out at the minute. Oh god, okay, the chat's going wild. Selena, ooh. Jackie, Alan, Jackie. Hi guys, how's it going? Hi, Selena.
Cheers for all joining us.
All right, Shell.
From the USA.
Sorry, we're a bit late. We had a few technical issues, as we usually do.
You know us.
Nothing ever goes smooth for us, so you know. But it is what it is. Oh, Anne Rees. Hello, Anne. Good to see you on here. You can always count on Anne, can't you? Even if nobody else is here, you know that Anne will be here for a chat.
Anne's always here for a chat, isn't she? Bless her.
She certainly is. I bet everyone's happy to see you because rather than me just rambling on drunk, they actually get to see you for a change.
I don't know, because I mean,
how many weeks?
I was expecting a third camera on here tonight. So where's little Marvin? I heard I got replaced.
Right, Cad. Sorry, Cad's. You did actually, to be fair. Yeah, Chloe.
Hey, Chloe.
Yeah, you did get replaced, to be fair, mate. Marvin did a better job. He's technically better as well. I reckon he'd have set this up with no issues. Right, Sean?
Probably would have done, yeah. So.
Does that make me sad? That doesn't make you sad. It makes you dedicated. Right, Mary? We'll have to drag Cad on here one of these days. I need one of them bleep if he comes on, though, because every other word's F, innit? So.
He still needs to come with to an investigation with us as well, Cad.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because he's very skeptical, but deep down, I know he's scared out of his wits as well. So,
yeah, I got that sense of fear from him when we last met. You know, I definitely did. He's holding back.
Chloe's put good to see you, Bri. See, people are happy to see you. I think a lot of people thought you were dead.
So did I. Yeah. No, cheers, Chloe. You okay?
I just got kicked out of my dad's house. Well, that's not very good, is it? Not on lockdown.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, technically Brian's in the same boat. But yours is more voluntarily, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cheers, Anne. Anne's just sharing it about for us. Oh,
cheers,
Shell's missing you. Can you see the chat your side, can you?
I'll get it on. I genuinely thought Marvin would have been more popular, you know. He's all cute and fluffy, isn't he? Yeah.
But, right. So, I've been a bit sneaky, actually. I've got a list of questions that are basically questions that have been sent to us on Facebook and YouTube over probably the past 6 months. So I scrolled through and I've wrote them down.
Here we go.
Basically for you to answer in a bit. So that'll be a bit of fun.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no pressure. Yeah.
No pressure. Nothing too technical, so don't worry. Now my mum and I have to buy a new house. That's not very good. Oh, I hope you can afford one. Right, so shall I kick it off with a few questions, or?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess. Go for it.
Before we start, how's Sprocky the dog?
Sprocky the dog. He's okay. Yeah, he's Sprocky dog. Oh, he misses you.
I bet he bloody does. Every time I come round, he has half me pizza. Oh, right. So, first question. I've probably been asked it a million times. I'll probably answered it a million times. What is our favourite haunted location?
Favourite haunted location? It's a toss-up between the cage and the ram for me, because the cage obviously was amazing as it was. We caught an incredible amount of evidence, and I think it's something quite nice about it, the fact that, you know, we were lucky enough to go there before it was too late, essentially. But the ram,
I think we were one of the last groups, if not the last group, to get full access, weren't we?
yeah, and it's definitely a night I won't forget. I remember that being our first biggest investigation. Thinking we were probably punching above our weight a little bit at the time, I thought maybe, but it went really well.
It was probably our first major investigation, weren't it? First paid proper place. Yeah. I say proper place first. What's the word? Paid for
first
fame. Yeah, so that was interesting. I liked it there, I'll be honest. Ironically, we had a good laugh just entering there. Eh?
Oh yeah, someone cackling then. Who was that?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know.
Talking about prison and you get a cackle.
God knows there was dog barking earlier on going mad. So God only knows. Selena's in the chat. What's the creepiest thing you've caught? I'm sure that's one of the questions, but we might as well jump straight to it. What's the creepiest bit of evidence you think we caught, mate?
That is a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think probably one of the earliest pieces in Dowles. I think the very first proper filmed investigation we did at Dowles. We had a few photographs. Well, it's the place in general, isn't it? You caught that photograph of when we went live with M&A actually, and you caught that photo of the figure. If you remember.
Yeah, but a lot of people think it's a young girl, don't they? To be honest, I think we've caught a lot there. It's photograph-wise. Yeah, a lot of places we've been to, we've caught a lot of EVPs and stuff. But as regards actual photographs, I think Dowles is a good one, isn't it? We've had probably 3 or 4 definitely. Crazy photographs.
So. It's always a safe option going there, isn't it? Because, I mean, obviously we've experienced a lot of things there from a long time ago as well. So
yeah, well, I think it is probably when we first got into the paranormal, it's where we first experienced things. What fueled us, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I remember going there back many years ago with nothing but a little LED torch. You could barely see the floor with. Me and you going down there. And it was back when the dirt track used to be open on the way down there, didn't it?
Yeah, and we drove. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
we drove there. Obviously, saw a few things that scared us senseless, and then got to the car, tried to leave, and the bloody car was stuck in the mud, weren't it?
Yeah, is that when you had the mechanics van, or was that the?
Yeah, I was doing. Yeah, and the bloody thing wouldn't get up the hill. That was bad times. That was.
Yeah, we had some
bad times. I think I probably killed that van.
All I remember about that van is going to Dowles, getting stuck in the mud down there, and not being able to get back up the hill. And then when we went to Ludlow as well, and you almost died on the way there because of the ice.
Yeah, in the winter, and we got into a skid, didn't we? And I just couldn't stop it. God knows how we didn't go through a field or anything.
Didn't you say the head gasket was going to blow or something?
Yeah, but it was in a bad shape. It was in a bad shape. And Rees wants to go to Dowles. I think it is a great place to go, isn't it? It's not the easiest place to access. It's hard to get there along the river. And even getting there via the road route, it's that boggy and stuff now. It's a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad if you can get through the gate, like they say. Now they've closed it up on the roadway.
I was a bit concerned when we had all the floods in Bewdley. I was a bit concerned that the graveyard would actually be underwater.
Yeah. Because it was for a while, wasn't it now? So.
Right, Shell's put, do you think the different locations of different types of evidence, like Dowles is good for photographic, some places good for EVPs? Potentially, yeah. I suppose it depends how spirit manifests itself, doesn't it?
I think for Dow's, we've had more sort of photographic and video evidence than anything else, but then we've always had that, for me, Class A EVP that we had at Dow's.
As you were leaving, the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'll never forget that.
No, I agree. That was weird.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
Really.
Then you got some places like Acton Burnell. That was amazing for EVPs, wasn't it?
Yes.
EVP after EVP after EVP, and it was crazy with the spirit box as well. I remember when we went live there, and I know the stream was a bit naff because of signal, but it just kept saying, "Was it go away?" It just kept shouting.
I remember being quite creeped out when we got into the castle area itself, on the live stream, but it wasn't too bad. And I remember that's where the signal was really bad. But then when we got to the graveyard afterwards, that's when it really started to kick off. And I've never been wary about using a spirit box before. I've always found it quite, okay to use. But I think I said to you, it really freaked me out that night because it was the same answer in multiple voices.
Yeah.
Which kept coming. And it was, I think it was telling us to leave or go away. Can't remember what it was. I think it was leave.
I think the weirdest one we caught there was that Frank, because it's just a random name. Obviously, it does tie in with the history there as well, but it was so random yet so clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It couldn't have been suggestion or anything like that. It genuinely did say Frank. So I think that is a cracking EVP. There's something definitely. Your body's trained, it expects to hear. It expects to hear go away or die or stuff like that. It's sort of your subconscious is expecting that because you're scared.
Well, yeah, and you almost expect it, don't you, at a creepy location that you're going to get some sort of creepy answer. But
Frank is just
it
didn't so make random sense. It was just so random that it almost gave it a lot more credibility. To be honest, I think
definitely. Well, we look into history, don't we, when we do investigations? But then we really had to delve into the history of that one. Once we had the name Frank come up, and we were like, "Well, what does that mean?" And we found a link to it.
Yeah,
Francis, wasn't it?
Francis Lovell, yeah.
Our dog.
Yeah, Lovell, our dog.
That's it. But yeah, that was a creepy one. But yeah, I do wonder. I think, like we're saying with Dow's, I think we've caught literally everything there is to catch. I think we've had EVPs, we've had EMFs, we've had really weird photographs. Probably the best photographs we've ever caught, even to the day.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Sorry, phone's lighting up a bit. Right, back to it. What's the best evidence? This is actually from M&A. What's the best evidence we've missed by not having the cameras set up, or missed by not having the cameras pointing in the right direction when we've been on a location?
Evidence as in like evidence we've seen happen and we've missed it, or
basically we've witnessed but we haven't actually caught on video for one reason or another.
For me, without a doubt, would be the first time we went to the Ram, and you probably know what I'm going to say when I say
that. Yeah, I do actually.
And probably Chloe will remember as well the phone call. But yeah, just sitting there watching back the live. I think it was before we started actually going into the investigation.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else.
For me, the one was when we went into the cage. And we first walked in, there was all them it's like shooting stars. Because I've seen like orbs and stuff, but the way they come, it was like a load of tea lights flying around the room.
Vanessa,
boys, right, John?
How's it going, John? Vanessa actually said about shooting stars as well, didn't she? If you remember?
She did.
That's exactly how she explained it.
Yeah. But literally, as we walked in, that was strange, I thought. Really strange. I think that's where I decided to play dead and try and wind you up, wasn't
it? Yeah, straight away.
I had a bit of a toilet break, so I lay on the floor and pretended to be dead. Speaking of winding people up and scaring them, we do have actually the Paranormal Boys here. I think that's probably one of my favourite nights ever, sneaking into Acton Burnell Castle without them realising and popping our heads round the corner.
I'll be honest with you,
the look on their faces.
That was funny. That really was funny. The reaction, that's made me laugh so much. I'll never forget M&A as well when we got them at Bridge North Tunnel. It's just a shame we get that on camera.
Yeah, it's the thing is with M&A though. I think because they were focusing on the way they were walking, they didn't notice what we did so much. But
No.
I think with the Paranormal Boys, they were mid-investigation. They had the spirit box running, the SLS camera on, and we just popped round the corner, and the cameras were set up perfectly as well to capture their faces. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? It really was.
Paranormal Boys, we're trying to find the Bridge North Tunnels there. We couldn't find it on a bike ride. Don't quote me, John, but I'm pretty sure it's been bricked up, mate.
Yeah,
I think it's been totally bricked up now. I could be wrong, but yeah.
I think they announced it. Was it earlier this year?
Yeah, Chris from M&A is the one to ask. I know he's got contacts with that tunnel, but I do recall hearing that it was being bricked up or sealed up or something. I mean, it was sealed up when we went. I know, obviously, Chris got us in through the highways, but yeah. And Rees, Nathan keeps saying, yeah, we'll scare you, Anne, when we meet up. I think it's our little thing, isn't it? We have to try and come up with something a little bit better each time.
We had a bit of a reputation for it, didn't we?
We do. I mean, we probably shouldn't give this away, but we actually do have a monk outfit for Brian to wear. That at one point, we were going to set him up in Dowell's parish room and meet M&A there. We're hoping Jody will stroll in on his own and find Brian stood there in a monk outfit in the corner. But we never got around to it in the end.
When you've had a beer, the truth comes out, doesn't it?
It does. I think that was one of the times it was rained off. But that would have been brilliant. And I think, to be honest, I think Chris and Shell would have found that funny as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, bear with me. One goes. I've got a good stock tonight. You should have done that. We were going to, Shell. We thought it'd be really funny. And we were going to set the cameras up so you couldn't see them. But I think the weather called it off or something. Something got in the way.
I mean, if Jody's not in the chat, we can still do it in the future.
Yeah, nobody say anything to Jody. We'll still do it in the future.
Yeah.
We'll make that our post-lockdown treat for everyone. So I just yeah. But
I just know that one day we're going to pay for this.
Okay, boys, I'm here now. I have a question. What is your scariest moment? Hang on, Chloe's asked the question as well. What is your best piece of unexplained evidence and where was it? Right.
Unexplained evidence. Hey, you're getting good at this technical stuff, aren't you?
Mate, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
You know me. I finally worked out the computer.
Unexplained evidence. Ooh, okay.
A lot of the evidence we've caught unexplained, to be honest, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as we've gone on, we've become a lot more critical. I mean,
a lot more skeptical as well.
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that, because I was watching an old episode at the Malt House through the other day, and I was looking, I was thinking, bug, dust. When I was looking at these orbs, I think, as much as it's a shame they're in the video, it's good to be able to look back and be critical of yourself and see that you have learned and grown.
Well, yeah, of course. But that was the early days, wasn't it? So, but best piece of unexplained evidence. That's a tough one to pick, to be honest.
She's put, okay, which baffles you the most? I don't know really. I don't know.
Difficult to pick from one, isn't it?
It is. I think, if we're honest, the most baffling is probably the doll, the one that appeared in the Chills video, is it?
Yeah, well, that would see a good bit of news that we've had since the lockdown. Because obviously, our doll at was it Morton Corbett Castle, the two dolls. Obviously, we had a clip of one of them moving, falling over, and then I think the most bizarre point about it was when like a black line emerged out of Elizabeth's sort of neck and throat area and sort of spread along the wall.
I think that's got to be the most unexplainable.
Yeah, that's pretty. It is pretty weird. I mean, we've had a lot of theories about that one, like slugs and worms, and
I think, if we're honest, I think we were going to run a load of tests. As crazy as it sounds, slugs, etc. We never have really done that, and we probably should, to be honest, because we promised we would. So we should do that. Anne's put electrical fire from Henry. Ah, no, that's true. You remember charging?
I do. Yes.
Cameras and that's true.
Yeah, I remember charging that and then smelling smoke, and then thinking, "Oh dear, what the hell have I brought into my house?"
I think Anne's got a bit of a soft spot for Henry.
I was going to say she likes Henry, don't she?
Yeah, I think she. Well, Anne, how many dolls have you got? You did tell me the other day, but I was a bit more drunk the other day. I can't remember. See, I'm being polite with my words tonight.
You are. You did a good job.
I can't remember how many.
Hello, Evie.
I think it's something quite a lot. I think, like a lot.
You've got a lot of dolls.
Hey?
That's a lot more than what I thought she had. That's incredible.
300 to 400.
That's a lot of dolls.
I remember when I was doing live the other day, I said it would be like, what's that island? Is it Mexico? Doll Island?
Yeah, Doll Island, yeah.
Is it in Mexico or something?
Yeah, it's in Mexico, yeah. That's meant to be really creepy.
That'll be like Anne's house, that will.
Or just the island.
Yeah, I wouldn't fancy that at all. I think at some point when we meet up with Anne, we'll have to take Henry and Elizabeth and let her have a bit of a play and see what she thinks.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Anne feels, not just from what we've said, but just what she picks up on and whether you want to run any tests on the man.
Scrolling back through, M&A asked a question. I can't remember what it was. Okay, boy. Here we go. Okay, boy. Hang on. I'm still not that good on the computer.
I think you've got it on the screen, yeah.
Okay, boys, I'm here now. I have a question. What is your scariest moment? Possibly them hiding at Dow's and jumping out at us when we were good enough to take them all coffee. You know, you hear about a local team. They're out investigating a location that you know a lot about, and you think, "I know, we'll go and get them all Costa." So we went out, got them all Costas, whatever they wanted. Went down, big box, taking them down there to deliver them. And they're nasty enough to hide in the bushes and jump out at us. I don't know.
I mean, where would they have got that idea from, really?
I know. I mean, they're lucky we didn't spill the coffee, to be fair.
That's true.
I even wrote on the top of the cups, you know, I had Little Willie on Jodie's and Big Willie on Jodie's. And, you know, I put real effort into that.
You did, yeah. I do remember that, actually. I forgot about that.
To be fair, it was that cold that night. I think the coffees were needed.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we have a haunted doll hopefully arriving this week. That'll be interesting. Really interesting. Chloe's put favourite investigator to work with.
Nathan.
Brian.
Are we allowed to go with that or not?
She's put her name in brackets. I think she was fishing for one there. No. I think we've always said working together, we trust everything that either of us do. Like there's some things you need to trust, like the Ouija board and everything like that. I think you've got to trust the person you're working with implicitly. And I think we do, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Cheryl's put Team M&A and Chloe's put Muslim. Yeah, I mean, we enjoy working with. Obviously, we enjoyed working with Chloe. We enjoy working with M&A for the same reason, because there's trust there.
Yeah,
and that's basically it. We're not one of these teams that go out and meet up with a lot of teams, because it's just not worth it. Is it? It's not worth getting a bad reputation. So, yeah, let's answer that one. Well, any more questions, or should I go back to the ones that I've got from Facebook?
I quite enjoyed coming up with some good questions there. Keep them coming.
Nuclear Official has a question. Anne's looking forward to working with us all. She says that now, but when we scare her, I think she might change her mind.
I'm really interested to see what she's going to say about the dolls, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
Yeah.
Right. While we're waiting for a question, let's have a look.
Nuclear's actually got a story as well. I've just read on the comments he's got a story to tell us about.
Has he?
Paranormal story. Yeah.
If you send it in to us, we'll have a read, post it on our Facebook or YouTube or whatever. Yeah, just send it in to us. Our Facebook will be linked on our page, just on our YouTube channel. Send it into there. But Evie legit asked, "What's your favourite colour?" Green.
Black.
You gothic git. Right. Okay. What events have you missed during lockdown? Go on then, Brian. You can answer that.
Right. So we were going to do. I was talking to a guy who was basically inviting us along to the Four Crosses in Cannock, which is a place that I know we've both had our eyes on for a while. I was looking into that, looking forward to that one, but obviously due to lockdown that got cancelled. So obviously that's gutting, but hopefully when it's all over, we can head back there. Also, Haunted Antiques Centre, and we were going to do or we've said it for a long time, doing a event at Daniel's Mill, which I think we'll still work on that one, I reckon.
Yeah, hopefully. I think Peter's waiting for us to.
Who wrote that?
I'm just, you know how.
To be fair, I probably do. But this is you abusing your power here, just because I can't type anything.
Hey, I'm loving it. Honestly, I feel like Kim Jong Un or whatever his name is. I'm like in power here. Who's alive, apparently. Well, newspapers are saying he was dead, but apparently he's alive.
He not seen for like 20 days or something, wasn't he?
Spelt. Yeah, okay. We'll change that.
What's
then.
that?
I spelled it wrong.
Did he?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Shortage of toilet roll. Yeah, I think a lot of people have had that. Daniel's Mill. Yeah, we were going to start doing group events there.
But looking forward to that.
We're only going to do. How many bottles are hidden from view?
How many's left? How many's left in there?
About half full.
What do we reckon? I'll get to 4. Chloe guesses 4. So.
Are you not having a tipple tonight? Take that as a no. Yeah, we were hoping to run some events at Daniel's Mill, but only small events, probably sort of 7 to 10 people maximum, including ourselves. Just to keep it as little contamination as possible and as fun as possible. So everyone gets a good look around the mill, gets plenty of time for themselves in different areas. We've been on group events before and we haven't really entirely enjoyed them, because I think once you've had the thrill of going off on your own and doing your own thing entirely, it's a totally different sort of adrenaline. I think we want to, if we do run group events, we want to bring that adrenaline to the group event. Like with when we did the fear experiment, I think nobody can say that they weren't sort of on edge like they would be on their own during an investigation. So I think it's important to try and bring that to a group event if we do a group event, rather than everyone standing around in a circle listening for EVPs. Or I think you lose the effect, I think.
Yeah, when there's too many people, it's not, you don't feel the adrenaline or the thrill or anything, do you? Like you say.
I also think on your own, your senses are so heightened compared to how they are when you're in a group.
Exactly. If you remember that event that we went, the only time that really any of us there was only 2 times, and that's when me and you got sent on our own. The whole group dispersed, didn't it? And me and you went away on our own. My torch died. I was bragging all night because I had this huge torch that would light up the whole bloody tunnel.
I had one of the little pocket ones that go on your key rings.
Yeah.
And your torch died pretty much straight away, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was told it was charged all night, but obviously not. So.
And then we're looking at that little pocket torch. That was good fun.
Yeah. I just remember running. No running in the tunnels.
I remember getting told off because I told them that their cups of tea were crap.
It's like Elm tea, isn't it?
Elm tea, yeah. The kettle stopped working, and I can't remember who was hosting the event, but they said, "Oh, it's the spirits." I said, "Yeah, it is. It's because your tea's shit. They don't want to drink it." I got a bit of trouble. Oh yeah, I got sent down the tunnel on my own for that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That was funny. That tea.
Chloe put, you could be put in a building you don't know with only a UV torch. That would be horrible. See, it was horrible, Chloe, but it had the desired effect. You've got to be honest, your adrenaline would have been going. I know, like Chloe's been on a lot of group events and she does a blog about her group events, but I would be surprised if there was a time that she felt as anxious as that on an event than being on her own with just a UV torch, reducing your woman to tears. Nasty. Well, it's not our fault you're weak.
I'm not getting involved here. To be fair to him, knowing what we know about the RAM, fair play to all Chloe and all of M&A. Honestly, good.
We actually had plans set aside because we thought that some people wouldn't be able to actually do what we wanted them to. We didn't think people would be able to hand over their phones, torches, and walk in isolated like that. So we were both really surprised when everybody did it. So fair play for that one. Fair play to everyone. And obviously that's something we are definitely going to be doing more of, isn't it?
Well, we want to do a fair experiment each series, don't we, really? The end of each series is like your bonus episode, if you like.
It takes a lot of setting up, but it's really good to do. So,
yeah, definitely.
The ghosts were too scared of me at the RAM, weren't they, boys? Morris Anderson, is that Jodie or Chris? I'm guessing it's Chris talking. Let us know if it's Jodie or Chris talking, guys. I think it's Chris. I was talking last time. Locations for a fear experiment's a difficult one because we want somewhere that's big enough to isolate people, but not too big to set everything up and film the way we do. Oh, Jodie's at work. Excellent. We can abuse them as much as we like. That's brilliant. I think poor Jodie had the worst experience at the RAM, didn't he?
I mean, look at the facts. He went in first. I mean, that must have been so difficult.
I don't know. I mean, I know he had a moment in the Bishop's room. I think we all had a moment during that night, but I know he had quite a severe moment in the Bishop's room. I don't know if that was induced by the fear experiment, if that was spirit attacking him or a mild panic attack. I don't know what it was, but I think that place must leave an imprint on Jodie to go through that.
I do clearly remember when, and I think Chris will back me up on this, when we were in the RAM and we just done the 30 minutes alone, and we all rejoined up, and you were going to get people from all the rooms, and obviously you went to So obviously you went to me first, and it was Chris, was it? I think, and then Jodie.
Um,
In order.
God, I
Did you
can't
just get
remember
on
when first. Yeah, I went to you. I told you to get people refreshments ready, didn't I? And then I went to see Chris, then Jodie, then Shell, then Claire. I just worked my way through the building.
Yeah, because I remember when I was talking to Chris, and then Jodie come and joined us, and he was okay at first, but I remember he just turned as soon as we were by that open grave. So I think Chris will back me up on that. I think he'll probably remember that, and he just completely turned.
Just to cut you up, there's Nuclear Official. He's got a couple of stories to share.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good idea. If you head over to Morris Anderson Paranormal after this, they do an M&A TV where they share stories each week. That would be a brilliant place to share your story. Obviously, you can always send it to us and we'll pass it on if you like. Or you can send it straight to them. If you head over to our Facebook, you'll find them on our Facebook, or look for their Facebook or their YouTube channel. We've worked with them a lot, so that's probably a really good idea. And Rees, I wouldn't mind doing the Ram in. I think the Ram's probably my favourite location, if I'm honest. Oh, it really is. I go on about it a lot, but it is my favourite location.
There's so much, man. It's probably the most successful location we've ever had, on camera and off camera, both. You know,
went through a spell during Series 3. Series 1, we hit a lot of local locations. Series 2, we went all out and we hit the big locations. We hit the Ram, we hit the Cage, East Drive. We hit some really big locations. I think Series 3, we hit some renowned locations, but not as scary, so to speak, or however you want to put it. And I think there was a bit of a buzz lost going through it, wasn't there? That you don't get the same adrenaline going around Morton Corbett Castle, for example, as you do going through the ancient Ram Inn, or entering those buildings for the first time. You start to think, you feel something that it's the reason you do it. Doris Dungle-Digger, have you been to Blackpool? Been to Blackpool many times. Love Blackpool. Never investigated up there. Although we are looking to go up north and do a bit of a road trip at some point, aren't we?
Scotland.
We're hoping to. So, but if we plan northern routes up there, I think there's a few places up Yorkshire way that'd be good to hit as well. So we are planning on doing a road trip at some point where we'll try and hit a load of these locations.
Yeah, definitely.
Connor Coombes. I recognise that name.
I do as well. He keeps asking for the merch, and then now we've got merch. He hasn't bought any.
Disappointed. In that case, we'll get rid of his comment. You're binned, mate. You're binned. Power. I'm loving this. As again, one goes, one comes. What we got going on here? Haunted Antiques, my favourite so far, followed by Arts and Crafts Centre. See, the Haunted Antiques Centre, I actually don't really know a lot about at all. And if I'm honest, I wasn't interested in until recently. I thought, it's just an antique centre, blah, blah, claim a load of things. But I've started to follow a lot of the stuff that, is it Neil, the owner, does? And I think he's actually a really genuine guy. And the place looks really good, and I'm quite interested in going now. So I've sort of turned 360 on that one. I'm quite looking forward to heading there at some point.
Yeah, definitely, it will be fun.
Hope we can still do Haunted Antiques if you're up for it in October. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be up for that, Shall we got lots of catching up to do as regards locations and stuff.
We've had a message from John and Birmingham Ghost Hunters, both saying hello. So hi, guys.
Hi, I can't see anything from John, but
he's back. He's further back up.
Okay. Hi, guys. Agnes Bowl. If money and travel were no object, where would you visit to investigate?
I know your answer straight away.
So you could answer that one for me.
Yeah. No, to go to visit the site of the Titanic, because you've always been fascinated by that.
Correct. Although I'd love to go to the site of the Titanic, but I did see a documentary the other day on it's actually the Titanic Museum, where a lot of the artifacts have been brought back into this museum, and the front's actually built as the Titanic was. So I'd be interested in that as well, to see if the actual artifacts held anything, as regards like the stone tape theory, anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to go there as well. What about you, mate?
You can answer that. Where do you think?
See, I know yours always was the ancient ram.
Yeah, I've kind of done it, to be honest. So,
but I don't know. I don't know other than that.
I would say the ancient ram was my kind of dream place. And obviously now I'm lucky enough I've done it twice. So I'm trying to think anywhere else which really, I don't know. I think from all the stories, obviously it doesn't stand anymore, but I would have liked to have visited Borley Rectory if it was still there. Obviously the site itself is meant to be haunted still.
Yeah, Borley Rectory. I was looking into that recently. That really is a shame that burnt down.
There was a lot of creepy stories about that place.
I think that's dubbed as the UK's most haunted, isn't it? Or most
meant to be.
So that would have been a good one, but that's definitely not not possible anymore. Right. The other one is part of the reason I want to go to Scotland. The Edinburgh Vaults.
Yes,
I would love to go to the Edinburgh Vaults, because I think some of the things that would have taken place down there would have been unbelievable. So, Birmingham Ghost Hunters, East Driver's Mine. Hang on, let me show this so I can see it better. East Driver's Mine, the day I went first time, and oh my god, it was insane. Been back loads and not got what I did the first time. See, East Drive is a funny one. The more research I did into it, the more I picked a load of holes into the story, the reasoning behind the sightings, etc. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'm just going to change a plug.
Fair enough. Carry on from that. When we went to East Drive, we had a few incidents at the first beginning, didn't we? Because I think you said that you saw what you said was like a black.
Well, I think this is the thing. Like I said, I punched a load of holes into the story as regards research, and then when we went, we did actually experience some things, didn't we?
I think it was minimal. Well, I'll say that, like, it was nothing. I mean, it took all night, but obviously there was that humongous bang at the end of it, which obviously scared me senseless.
Well, I suppose I didn't experience that because I was in the car. But watching the footage, it is, yeah.
But then at the same point, we had an EVP, which, again, because we didn't hear it, I suppose, I just don't register it. It seemed like overall it was a fairly quiet night. Maybe I expected a bit more from East Drive.
Yeah, possibly. I think on the opposite. I think I went in feeling like I'd shot it all down, and perhaps any evidence I did get then, perhaps I overlooked a little bit more than I should have. Looking
possibly,
back. Yeah. So yeah, I know you're a lot keener to go back there than I am, really. But
I am. I sort of am. I mean, when I think about what happened again, because the EVP seems to kind of say my name, or what we've interpreted it as saying my name, which obviously puts me off immensely. And then obviously the bang, which I just keep forgetting about what happened there. I think the cage and the ram were much sort of more prominent in activity than East Drive when I think about it. So I don't know, saw it as the weaker link out of the three.
The hands put fake drive. No desire to go there. See, I do understand that. If I'm honest, that's kind of the attitude I had before I went, and I think I'm one of the people that probably called it out on quite a few different things. But yeah, I think, like you say, you got to be objective. And as much as I thought it was fake, and I'm still undecided on it, we did catch some things there that are unexplainable. So I suppose until we go back, we've got to leave the door open on it, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. We will go back at some point.
Yeah, I think one of the big problems with East Drive is it's overhyped, and I think that's an issue, to be honest.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I think people expect a lot more than what they're actually going to get because of the overhype. Anyway, I'll go back to these questions now because I've got to get through them. What's your favourite piece of equipment?
Oh, it was always Spirit Box for me, but the more I've done it, the more I don't know. I'm finding this, so the more skeptical I'm becoming about a lot of things. I don't know. It's a tough one because I'd still go Spirit Box at the moment. I think I can rule a lot of it out. However, there have been occasions, like we mentioned earlier, when we went to Acton Banal live and we did the graveyard, where I could not explain the same word coming out in multiple different voices, and enough for me to actually say to you, I've had enough. I don't like that. So yeah.
Selena, my mum knows one of your friends. Oh, let us know who that is. Let us know who that is. Birmingham Ghost Hunters, Ovulus 5B. Fair choice.
To be fair.
Chloe, Alternate Shells, Brian the same way, more skeptical than there was then. PSP 11, Spirit Box or Paranormal Puck.
General.
I think everyone's open to different things. I think personally, as I've been from the start, it's all down to camera work for me. I think anything you can pick up through a camera and a microphone, I think if you pick up an EVP through a camera and a microphone or an EVP device, that's more solid to me than an SLS camera or Spirit Box or anything like that, because the way the Spirit Box works, going through frequencies, etc., the SLS camera looking for something that will recognise that will be distinguished as a human skeletal sort of shape. I think it's almost, to a degree, they're designed to fail. Yeah. I'm not saying that all the evidence people capture with them is wrong, because I'm sure a lot of it's legit. But how can you say it's legit and not legit if, for example, it's picking up a chair as a person, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, so definitely.
Something like a camera, it's almost like your own eyes. It doesn't lie. So I think, yeah, full spectrum EVP for me. EVP devices.
Yeah.
Diane Pennock. Not a fan of tech, but I've heard some interesting stuff on Spirit Box. See, on the flip side to that, I was also very dubious about things like pendulum and Ouija boards. I was really dubious about it, if I'm honest. A big believer in the emotion effect, that subconsciously you move it. But I think after doing a few, I think that's changed, particularly Daniel's Mill, etc. I think the other reason it's changed, like when we're at the ramp, you get total random words sometimes, or random letters that make no sense. So you can't even put it down to your subconscious. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm definitely more taken with the older techniques than I am the newer techniques at the moment. So, how about you, mate?
I have to agree with you. The older techniques, I think I like about them. You know, I love how you've used the pendulum, the Ouija board. I know it gets a lot of criticism. However, yeah, I don't know. We've had some weird Ouija board sessions, haven't we? They've kind of been a bit sort of. They didn't really account to much when we first started using them, and then after that, I think the more we've done it, the more sort of, I don't know, the more sort of prominent it's become with the answers. It's quite weird. I remember about halfway, like you say, at the RAM, we were getting sort of random answers the first time we went. And then by the time we've done a few more investigations and we've gone back to the RAM with M&A and Chloe, we had like a proper full-on sort of conversation with something in the barn, which was
that was strange. The thing that got me about that, the whole energy in the whole room just went dark. It was like, it almost felt like none of us were in control. It was like,
I think you said it earlier. We all, like with Jodie, I think we all had some sort of moment. And I think when you say the whole sort of room went dark, I think we all kind of felt that at some point during the day. During the night.
Yeah.
I definitely felt it probably just before we got to the barn, I think. But I wasn't a big fan of that session, to be honest, how that was going.
So, another one for you to answer here, mate. How did you get involved in the paranormal? What was your first experience growing up? What got you into it?
Experience. Okay. Okay, so I remember being really young and having I had a load of toys. I think I've told you this story actually, so you're going to know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Toys over the far side of my room on top of the wardrobe. I think I was only about 4 years old or 5 years old.
Don't
and
lie.
And I remember my brother coming home from work. He used to work at a care home at the time. And I think it must have been about 9 o'clock at night. I remember hearing him get inside and everything. And I remember he came inside, went upstairs, but didn't enter my room. And I knew when someone came in and out my room. And he was a sort of older brother who would, play pranks and, sort of bully the younger brother. And I remember being tucked up in bed and all these toys just flew from one side of the room across the other and just hit the bed. And I remember hearing that, thinking, how the hell's that happened? So obviously I screamed. And my mum and dad came up, obviously gave my brother a talking to, but I actually defended him, saying, "Oh, he hasn't been anywhere near me. What's caused that?" And I remember hearing a lot of stories from my brother. He's told me a lot more sort of in the last few years about when I was really young, and I can vaguely remember some of them, but not very well.
Yeah.
So there was a time where I was screaming pretty much every night, and he was doing, I think, GCSEs at the time. And it was disturbing him. He wasn't sleeping. So he offered me to sleep in his room and he slept in my room. And I remember when he said, when he was going over it, he said that the very next day, he told my mum basically that he said he felt hands, sort of cold hands over his body. And he felt like a death sort of rattle, like breathing in the ear. So like somebody breathing down his ears. And he hated it. And it was something to do with the bed that we had at the time, apparently. So it was quite a sinister one. I've seen stuff I've seen a lot of things in the house, to be honest, over all of the years I've been there. So that's really what's always spiked my interest in the paranormal. Obviously, I've always, especially when I was younger, I was very scared of it, but always quite interested. I always wanted to sort of prove what it was, whether it was something to be scared of or not. And then just general sort of stories. I remember it's one of your latest videos that you did about the Enfield poltergeist. I remember watching it on TV. I think I remember showing you that as well.
You actually introduced me to the Enfield haunting many years ago when we first started talking about the paranormal, I think. It's a strange case. I know a lot of people were skeptical about the case, but there's a lot of points that are very hard to be skeptical about, if I'm honest. Nuclear one, okay, I sent a post. That's brilliant. Well, once we're finished with the live and stuff, I'll go on Facebook and I'll check it all out. Aiming Egypt, hiya from Malaysia. Wow, we've got people watching from Malaysia. That's awesome.
All over the globe.
Big hello to you. I'm acting like I'm not drunk again. How long does it take you to collate all of your information and footage to produce a video? Right, I'm definitely highlighting that one. Agnes, that is the bane of our lives. Let's put this into perspective that I don't think everyone realises. And it's our choice to do it. We enjoy doing it. But when we went to the cage, there was 9 hours footage per camera, something like that? 8, 9 hours footage? About that?
Probably. Very, very easily. It's about the standard when we go somewhere like that.
And how many cameras did we have set up?
We have 4 locked off
Just
times.
the main one. We usually have 2 main ones.
Normally have 2. So 6 cameras we deal with normally.
Normally.
And now, obviously, the ones where you're actually kind of, you've got it in your hand and you're moving it around and you're panning each other and shooting stuff, that ain't so bad because you're actually entertained to a degree. But when you've got a locked off camera and you're just watching a room, I remember you saying about the cage. I remember the Ram the first time we went, and in the Bishop's room we had a lot of activity, and I remember watching that.
The REM pod going off constantly.
The REM pod was going off completely all the time, and I remember obviously when I watch footage back, I have headphones on so I don't miss anything.
Yeah,
all I've got is a REM pod going off for hours straight. It was enough to send you around the twist, but you never know. You
literally probably spend between us sort of 24 hours watching just locked off cameras. We split them in half, watch half each, just watching through it. Nuclear's off. See you, Nuclear. Just to collect the evidence. We obviously have to watch it all in real time because you'll miss the EVPs if not. So you've lost sort of 2 days solid watching before you can even start making a video. Obviously, you have to timestamp everything that's happened or you've caught, and then to check that it's genuine evidence, you can sometimes cross-reference it with a different camera and timestamp that, and it literally does take weeks sometimes to edit an episode just because of the amount of footage we have to watch through. As well, we both work full-time. And sometimes we look at these other groups that just go out and just do lives. Just go out with a single camera, torch, go live, and I think sometimes, God, that'd be so easy. No hours and hours of footage to watch through, no editing, no nothing. But
just straight off the bat, go out with the camera.
The same point, I do think that's why, I won't be blowing our own trumpet here, but I do think that's why we've caught a lot more evidence than a lot of other groups, because we're more than quadrupling our chances of capturing the evidence by keeping those cameras rolling. Some of the best evidence we've caught is when we've settled locked off cameras going and actually left the building for an hour to go and get some food and stuff before coming back to investigate. So it's hard work. And obviously everything we use is full spectrum, so that wasn't cheap either. But I think in the long run, I think if you don't do it properly, it's not worth doing.
Exactly.
What are the comments we got? Sorry, that was a bit of a long reply.
That's good. Really good question, actually, that, because it's nice for them to have a bit of an insight to what we actually have to do and go through.
I think you have to try everything for yourself. Everyone likes different things. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it can be frustrating. So a lot of people are asking for episodes out, and we aim to please, don't we? We aim to try and do what we can. And a lot of people like lives, and we do enjoy going live for a social side of it. But I think if you're talking genuine evidence that's been ruled out and checked, debunked, and just checked over and over, I think you've got to set up all the cameras, all the EV. I mean, something a lot of people don't realise we do when we set up our locked off cameras, we usually set up EVP devices with the cameras. So if the camera's picked up an unexplained noise, we will cross-reference that with the EVP device.
Yeah.
So I think probably a lot more goes into it than people realise, if we're honest.
It does take a very long time, but it's always worth it, and we've always got that. At the end of the day, you said it, I think, last week on your live. At the end of the day, we've got it for us. It's a nice memory for us as well. So if we can produce it in a way, which we're going to always work on, and that's what I'd rather have. But
when we first started, we just wanted to write a book, didn't we? We just thought we'll go around locations, we'll write a book. I mean,
we actually had a fair bit of written sort of evidence and text, didn't we? If you remember, because we were going to that.
I'm going to release that book one day if it's the last thing I do.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
Because it was a good little idea, that was, and obviously the idea of YouTube came out of it. So I obviously have a more visual approach and an audible approach. Obviously,
Yeah.
I can give you that to a degree, but not very well. But YouTube's been a lot of fun, really, and it's been good getting all the cameras and seeing what we can get. So
yeah, that's it. Also, we've learned a lot along the way. We enjoy doing it, don't we? Right. Anybody else got any other questions, or should I go back to this?
That was a really, really good question. I like that.
Yeah, I like that question, to be honest. Well, I'll jump in with one then. Has paranormal investigating changed your beliefs?
What was the last question you asked me before that one? Sorry to go back.
I can't actually remember, to be honest. Upcoming investigations? Are we planning on events?
Done that. I just think I answered it. I don't think you did. That's all.
What favourite piece of equipment?
Maybe you did. I don't know. Oh, no, carry on then.
Oh, hang on. Chloe's put one up. She's jumped in there. Worst piece of equipment. And put Nathan is drunk.
It only takes him one.
He knows.
Worst piece of equipment. I kind of think probably because I don't understand them enough I don't understand the scientific approach behind them, is most phone apps. I know there are certain apps which are more sort of like, I don't know, Paratech is very popular. I don't personally know how that differs between that and any other app, if I'm honest. They're all kind of very similar to me. So I would say anything which is phone based. Not completely proving it.
If I'm honest, mate, you've literally just took the words out my mouth.
Yeah, you have.
You've literally just took the words out of my mouth. I think phone apps are just software.
I don't understand enough about how that can work. I'm not saying they don't work. I just don't understand how it works.
Karen Fisher, hi. I'd actually like to say thank you to Karen, because I've noticed on all of our videos, she always comments, she always watches. And I know we say it all the time, but thanks for the support. We really do appreciate it, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you, Karen. Puck uses an app, but I switched my phone to airplane mode so the puck isn't manipulated. I know the puck uses an app, but the device itself is separate, isn't it? It's got its own sensors and readings inside it, so I think that's probably slightly different, if that makes sense. To like, I'm thinking phone apps as in literally phone apps. So yeah, there was another couple of questions.
You know, I know some people like them. I'm not trying to disprove, because I know Paratech was hugely popular, but I just don't know how it works. I don't really get how it can work.
Yeah. Right. When you look at your paranormal journey, is there anything about it that you're really proud of? Oh,
question. Really good question.
Well, I'm going to answer this one.
Go on,
this one. I am proud of how fast I changed a tyre on a Sangyong Rexton at Cannock Chase. I'm telling you, if you've been on an investigation, it's pitch black dark, you're cold, it's been snowing, it's icy, and you're crapping yourself in case there's a bloody black-eyed kid behind you. You'll never change a tyre faster in your life. Seriously. I'm proud of that. What about you, mate?
Proud I survived Cannock Chase.
Proud of how fast I changed.
Yeah, to be fair, I have to agree. Just the whole journey as a whole, really, if I'm honest, in terms of what we're doing. I think.
Oh, Anne's going. See you, Anne. You take care.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining as always.
Sorry, I think from the start, like going to Dowell, like you say, we really started all this at Dowell's. I know we used to go a few places here and there beforehand, but when we really started this journey. I think we've grown and developed so much since then. So in terms of bravery, in terms of everything. So just the whole journey as a whole for me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to look back on some of those earlier episodes, the memories that come with them. And it is, it is strange to think that we started off, we didn't have no editing software. We had one old analog tape camcorder.
I like that camera. That's good.
You know, we didn't have a proper camera. We had nothing, and you know, we're going out filming them early episodes. A lot of which, to be honest, there's a lot of footage we haven't even released. And we go back and plug it into the telly, watch it on the TV, and sit and have a pizza. And it was just so. You look at from where we've come from to where we've gone.
They were the way they were.
It has been it's been a big journey in what, 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm proud as well. I'm very proud.
I think we have a lot to be proud of. Like you say, 2 years, and look at where we are now. So
I think a big thing is just actually seeing each other again, isn't it? There are many years where we've been good friends since school days, but we never actually got the time to see each other. We'd see each other once a year and then be like, "Oh, we've got to meet up again."
Right.
That was it. Once this has clicked, we've probably seen each other more or less every weekend, if not every other.
It's majorly those weekends, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even for a couple of hours, but like you say, yeah, as and when. But it's been brilliant, really has.
Yeah, that's right. Have we got any other questions, or shall I go back to?
I did see one.
You know what I found out today?
What's that?
This is going to blow your mind. There was a bloke in Warsaw. This isn't paranormal, I'm going to warn everyone, but there's a bloke in Warsaw that got arrested for masturbating while driving. Straight up. I mean,
they've let you out already.
No, I know it's not safe, but I didn't realise it was actually illegal. You learn something new every day.
You know. We've got 2 questions, I thought.
Have we?
Well, I thought we had 2. I've seen one.
Do you have any paranormal tattoos or mercy? I'm guessing she means merch. I haven't got any paranormal tattoos. I've got that one. Where is it? Which is a drunken playing guitar as an 18-year-old tattoo. I haven't got anything paranormal tattooed on me. What about you, mate?
Right.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Merch.
Absolutely.
Anyone who wants our merch? We do have a Teespring account, don't we? Something
we
on
do.
There. I haven't actually got the link at the moment.
It's on our YouTube, the link.
It's on our YouTube, or if Chloe or Morris Nelson Paranormal have a link to it, whack it in for us. We'd appreciate that. For anyone interested.
There's a question further up from Birmingham Ghost Hunters, if you see that.
Yeah. Where are we looking?
It was about 5 minutes ago, to be honest. I've just seen it. Has anything ever scared the hell out of you at a location, and did you learn from it?
Okay, I can't find the comments, so I can't post it, but we'll answer it. So has anything ever scared the crap out of you on a location, and what?
And have you learned from it?
Did
we ever learn?
Never learn. I think we've agreed that you do become more numb as you go on in the paranormal field, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
As we explained, I think the bigger the locations you hit, the more adrenaline that you hit, the more numb you become to the lesser things, but also more aware because you're constantly listening. Chloe's just posted our Teespring account. Thank you for that. Anyone who wants any merch, just take a look on there. I don't know how deliveries will be, etc. at the moment with the lockdown, but I'm sure you'll get it at some point if you do purchase anything. And if you do, send us a picture and a message on our Facebook account, and we will post it on there. We'd appreciate that. Right. We never answered the beliefs, have we? How has the paranormal, investigating the paranormal, changed your beliefs?
Oh yeah, that's what we got to. So I have always believed in the paranormal. I still do. Everything. But as in terms of ghosts, I don't know. I always used, like I say, when I was a kid, I used to be scared of what used to go on around me in the house, and all these haunted location stuff. And I always thought, I want to do that one day. I want to go to that place and see if I can find anything. I've always been interested. I've always thought yes. And I've always sort of thought maybe not life after death, but maybe there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there's something, whether it's residual energy or whether it's life after death. I don't know. Doing paranormal investigating, I've kind of become more sort of brave as it's gone on, in the sense of I will try and push it a little bit more. I will try and.
I've noticed that when we first started, it was me sort of dragging you to do more.
Yeah.
But now it's almost vice versa. It's weird.
Yeah, it's sort of like you said earlier. It's kind of like you go numb after a while, and then I think when we went to the Ram the first time, because I remember obviously we were both kind of scared, but then after a while I kind of wanted to keep pushing for it and seeing what was going to happen. And I kind of think that you do that and then you don't always get your result. So then you think, well, okay, how far can you push it before something happens? I'm not saying nothing did happen, because obviously we had what happened at East Drive happen, and we've had other things since, and at the Ram the last time that we went. So in terms of how it's changed my belief, I think I still believe in the paranormal. I just don't know what it actually is, whether it's life, whether, I don't know, something in a different dimension, perhaps. I don't truly know what it is. I still believe. I just think I'm probably less scared of it.
See, for me, I've never been religious in any way, shape, or form. I don't buy religion. I'm to be honest, I know you're the same. So a lot of people do wonder why we're into the paranormal, etc., without the religious aspect. But I do buy the science behind the energy. The energy always must convert into something, or it can't be stagnant. I also buy into things like a parallel universe and things like that. I think there's enough evidence to support that things like that could, as crazy as it sounds, exist. So as regards religious beliefs, it hasn't changed my religious beliefs at all. But I do believe in energy. I really do. And I do believe there's something out there. What it is, I don't know. Chloe's put, Nath, you were laying into the priest at the Ram. Yeah, well, it's true. But then if you listen to what was being said on the Ouija board, he was laying it into Jodie in a much more filthy way. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Agnes Bowl, do you think, hang on, we post it. Do you think some people are more susceptible to paranormal experiences than other? What sort of traits make someone more susceptible? Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer that?
Some people are susceptible to paranormal experiences.
That is a good question. Thanks, Agnes.
Hard one to answer. Yeah.
See, for me, I think it's just to be open-minded. I've shown some fantastic pieces of evidence to people that are completely closed-minded and completely against the paranormal, and they will never believe it. Never. I honestly think the TV could float off the shelf and throw across the room, and they will not believe it because they've programmed themselves in such a way not to believe it, whether it's because there is a theory behind it. I can't remember the name of the theory. Whether it's because it's their way of blocking out the fear, I don't know. But some people are totally shut off to it. You've got other people that are open-minded to it, and you've got people the other way that believe everything's paranormal. I think you've got to be open-minded to it, but you've also got to be realistic, skeptical. You've got to try and find reasons behind things first. So,
yeah,
I think susceptible people are just open-minded people, really. I think the more open-minded you are, the more susceptible you're going to be.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, actually. Good answer.
Doris Dungle, I'm sure she asked a question earlier on, and I can't remember if I actually answered it. I remember seeing it. She's asked one here. How long ago did you start? Go on, you're better. Doris, okay. How long ago did you start? You're better with dates than me, so I'll let you answer that
one. Start on YouTube or start doing what we're doing? I mean,
both.
Both, okay. Well, we started in YouTube. I think we created our account in 2018, but I don't think we started releasing until about April. I think it was. Yeah, it would have been because it's 2 years ago. But we were going to Dow's. No, sorry, it was 2017 because we went to Dow's in the October-November of 2017. Then we were at Cannock for that, and we started releasing about April time. That's when we went to the Maltese, I think.
But it took us a long time to edit that first episode because, like I said, when we first filmed everything, we had no editing program. We had no. Everything we've done is self-taught regarding that, isn't it? We're not media students or anything like that. You know what I mean? No. So it's all self-taught. So it took a long time to begin with. She's asked another question. This is another question we got. What does your family and friends think of your interest in the paranormal? Do you want to answer that
one? Yeah, I have a lot of support from friends, to be honest, and from co-workers, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people who I know are very interested in the fact I do it, and they're interested to see. They're always asking, when, for example, the last investigation that we went on at Daniel's Mill, the day after, everyone wanted to know what happened. Even before we've even sat down and watched the video back and anything like that, they're always sort of, interested. So friends are definitely all there. Family, majority, I would say. I don't think my dad believes in it or wants to believe in it, but that's just him. So that's fair enough. What about yours?
For me, it's a strange one because I come from a background where growing up I did a lot of boxing. I got involved in a lot of what you would class as manly things. I was a mechanic. So the people involved in my life, my friend group, etc., at first there was a bit of ridicule, and it was something I did tend to keep to myself, if I'm honest, which I probably shouldn't have. I think as you grow up and get older, you realise I am what I am, sod everyone else, sort of thing. And I think the more I've done that, the more respect I've gained through it, and it is what it is now. I think people do respect it, and even if they don't agree with it, they support it, if that makes sense. I've just got a message. Chris from M&A wants to join us in the chat, so I'm just going to invite him. So if you just chat away for 2 seconds, I'm just going to send him the code.
Yeah, definitely.
He's going to hate me because he's going to have to type this in manually.
Not a copy, not a click link job, or.
Well, no, because I'm not actually on my computer, so I've got nothing set up at the moment.
Got you. Fair enough.
I'm actually on my daughter's computer. She's in bed.
It's running smoothly, though, isn't it?
I am sending a photo, Chris. It might take a few seconds to send. I think that's sent now. Type that in and we'll invite you into the chat, mate.
Happy days.
Right, so where are we? Do you oh, that's an interesting one. Do you think it more of an age thing, as in more susceptible the younger you are, the more open-minded you are? There's a lot of people that believe children are very susceptible to the paranormal, isn't there? As regards the innocence of children. So potentially the younger you are, and there's also obviously stories of poltergeist activity being linked to adolescent females, etc. So it stands a good chance. I think in a lot of things, I think when you're younger, you're what's the word? You're more open to a lot of things, aren't you? You're more suggestible. You're more, probably less cynical. I think as you get older, and you're working and everything you become more cynical, perhaps.
I was going to say, whatever they kind of see, they probably won't question it. So
there you go. Chloe's just put, his children are because they don't second guess it. Evie once described a man to me when she was 3, which matched the description. See, that's exactly the reason. They don't second guess it. They don't.
Seeing is believing, isn't it?
Basically, for that. Seeing is believing. So yeah, I do think particularly younger children are more susceptible to it. But like I said, I do think it's a case of being open-minded and staying open-minded. Right, what other questions we got, or shall I have a look through my massive list? I'll tell you what we haven't spoken about.
What's that?
Your mysteries of the paranormal. What's going on?
Well, I'm
episode, and that's it.
I was getting into that. I was quite enjoying it. I quite enjoyed making a video about something on a slightly different tangent to what we normally do.
I'm not boasting, but I've released 3 now.
Oh no, you've put me to shame here. I mean, when I'm back at home and all's good, I'll crack on with it. I was actually in the process of making a second episode of that. It's kind of half done, and that was about a Dybbuk box. So that's going to be episode 2. Obviously, Dybbuk box being a demonic sort of entity in a box. So that'll be quite a fun one.
Personal thoughts on Dybbuk boxes after your research? Your thoughts changed, or was it just the same? Or
I read a statement about it, and it kind of made me think. I never really gave it much sort of time of day. I never really believed in it much. But somebody wrote about, these are real things, and at the end of the day, if you decide to buy one, then you are literally chancing it because you don't know if it's a genuine. Basically, there's a load of fakes. You can obviously go and get a fake one, and you never know what you're going to get. Could be just a load of rubbish. But
I think that's the biggest issue. I think because I think the history behind it, they are a real thing. Whether you believe it's truly paranormal or not, I can't say, but they are genuinely a real thing. It did happen. Things were put in there. But I think these days, it's amazing how these historical artifacts that nobody can get their hands on suddenly appear in all investigators' kits. Like, everybody seems to have a genuine Dybbuk box now, don't they?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Or is it not a genuine one? That's the thing, isn't it? It's that gamble at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But they have become a lot more trendy. I've seen that.
Right. We do have a third person joining us now. There we go.
All right, guys.
Christopher.
And look at that haircut. That's brilliant.
Got the beard to match as well.
Beard to match. Love it. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Yourself, guys?
Yeah, not bad. Actually, it's become that time again. Another one goes, and another one comes.
It's whiskey in this, just to join in.
Oh, right.
Right. So I gave you a question. I gave you a question about like your paranormal journey and what you're proud of. So I'm going to ask you the reverse now. Is there anything about your journey you're not proud of? Something you'd like to change?
That's a really good question again.
That is a good question. I do get frustrated looking back on earlier episodes when I see evidence highlighted, like I said, about like the bugs, etc. I get frustrated and I see that, and a part of me wants to change that. It's mainly only from series 1. Part of me wants to change that, but then another part of me, I think that's the episode. It's part of our journey. It is where it is. I don't want to edit the episode or change our memories. So that frustrates me. But other than that, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd probably change is like some of the locations. We go in the early days, and you sort of like you have very basic equipment, and then like nowadays you'd like to go back and try it a different way and be a bit more thorough and do the things you probably should have done back then that you didn't think of. That's the only thing I can think of for me. But
I think that's just learning the craft, though, isn't it? It's always going to be the case. You could go somewhere in 10 years' time and think, oh, wish I'd have done that. As humans, I think we're flawed. We're always going to, yeah. What about you, Brian? What do you regret?
I have to agree with both of those comments, to be fair. Because I think back at Cannock Chase almost, and I remember when we went to Cannock and we had the spirit box for the first time, I was proper excited about using that. And we had some strange things, but obviously you look at all the stuff we've got now and you think, oh, it'd be nice to, maybe go back to either the Malt House or the Cage for one of the randomness places like that. We can't really go again.
I'm also pretty sure you regret, I regret putting you in charge of our lunch at 30 East Drive. I planned the journey, I sorted the car out, I sorted the equipment out. I said to Brian, I'll sort the fuel out, I'll sort everything. You just sort us some food out when we're there. I forget what my meal was.
Digestive biscuit.
It was a joint effort.
It was a walnut dip and a jar of pickled onions. Seriously. Sit from the pound shop.
Oh, you mean you didn't get them from your own shop, right?
No, we don't sell them.
Unbelievable. So you went the extra mile to get him a cheap lunch.
I put him in charge of one thing.
Yeah, but it was good.
I think we went to Daniel's Mill. Where we went to Daniel's Mill, I think we went a bit over equipped with food, but I think the nice thing was we went with like the thermos flasks of coffee and hot chocolate and stuff. Daniel's. We went up to a stone circle. I don't know if you know where I mean. We went up to investigate a stone circle.
Yeah, that was your episode after, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we went up there and it was freezing. And the thermos came in handy up there because it was absolutely freezing cold.
We actually same at Daniel's Mill. We wish we'd have took one because we froze. We really froze.
Even when we went, it was cold. But Cannock Chase, actually, I was going to say Cannock Chase is when you go to Cannock Chase, it's quite eerie to start with, and I think Cannock Chase was pretty much like the tunnel. You go in there and you're a bit sort of like what's going to happen, and then halfway through you're thinking it's not so bad, but then was it Shell? I think Shell was taking pictures on the way out with a phone, and I think it's the first time I'd ever sort of really been in touch with what's going on up here. And I was getting the sense that we were being followed and watched and told to behave ourselves, really. And it was more or less confirmed by some of the figures that Shell got on her phone, which is incredible. I mean, just with the fact that we're taking pictures side by side, I've got the little full spectrum, and I'm taking pictures right beside her phone, and I'm getting nothing, and she's using a mobile phone, and she's getting these figures. She's getting these figures appearing on her phone. Well, I found that incredible.
We actually purchased some tape recorders, didn't we? Because basically, because analog will film differently to digital. So we thought going forward, if we, as much as it's more evidence to look through, if we do use these analog tape recorders, they could potentially pick up more evidence than your new EVP recorders. I'll put the thing in the chat. Helen Tucker, really enjoy your format. Just wanted to say thank you, Helen. So I'll put it there because I didn't want to forget. Really appreciate every bit of support and comments like that mean a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Pre-investigation Mackies, Shell said.
I tried to stop that. It was getting a bit out of hand for me, so I tried to stop it. For everyone wondering who this is Chris. He's from M&A Paranormal. We work with them quite a lot. So if you haven't already, go over, check their channel out, and like or subscribe, and you might even see our two faces on there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good old Chris. Has created a new segment for M&A TV as well. I'm back in the old editing. Lark. Shell's not doing it all anymore.
Excellent. I've said Shell's been doing a fantastic job though, bless her.
She's an absolute genius when it comes to editing. I mean, I can do it and I can follow her formats and styles. I can pick them up easy, but the fact is that she comes out with all these styles, all these editings and show ideas and whatnot. It's just incredible. It really is.
We got a comment here from Diane Pennock. I've never been to Cannock. It interests me, but trees freak me out in the dark more than the thoughts of ghosts. Now, there's a point I want to make on this. Locations with lots of trees will create lots of shadows. It's the same reason we don't investigate in the daytime. You can get unexplained shadows, creating false evidence, basically. I think that's a big thing with Cannock that we found out, isn't it? A lot of the time we're thinking we're seeing things, and even with a full spectrum camera, the infrared light would create a shadow. So it's something to be careful for. And,
I was thinking about that. It takes a bit of money, but what you can do to stop it, I was looking at this, what you can do to stop your false shadows is actually buy some cheap tripods and then get yourself, the big light I've got that can fix the tripods and whatnot. Get some of those, but some of the brightest luminescence. So some of the brightest settings, so it can actually illuminate large areas. Yeah, and then just fix them in place so they're not moving. The only things that are moving is you. So it'll rule out any sort of.
Yeah, you got to be careful with trees moving in the wind or what have you.
But then whilst people are watching, you get like a fixed pattern of behavior. So anything that starts to step out of that pattern of behavior, you can start to look at.
It's a good idea. Definitely a good idea. What, have we got any questions for us or Chris from M&A? Or shall I have a look? Because to be fair, I've got a lot of questions here. And
have you written them all out yourself in crayon?
You got it. That's why I can't read them.
Well, Shell came up with that. She thought, I bet he's written them all himself.
No. They're mainly ones that have been put on Facebook. Just the same questions we answer week in, week out. But we just thought we'd write them all down. Right, what's the biggest laugh you've ever had in an investigation then, Chris?
Right. Biggest laugh I've had in investigation.
I asked the question.
Can you go back through the chat and find Shell's question, please, Nathan?
What's that?
I think
question about.
I think the biggest laugh we've had in investigation, I think, has to be in the tunnel, isn't it? Really.
There.
This question is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
Remember the 4 locked off cameras? It is the same or something different next season. It's something ever since we started, we've always done the 4 locked off cameras. Now we've got 6 cameras. We might do more, might stick to 4. I think we'll always do it because although it's time consuming, I think it is what we agreed on when we first set up. We wanted to rule out as much possible.
I think what you could do is have your 4 locked off cameras and then if you add extras, is have them as like a fixed experiment every time. Like you take Henry or someone and have them as a permanent feature in each location. So that's your locked off camera. That's your active experiment whilst you're walking around.
Yeah. I think the issue is, once again, looking over the footage. We could have more than 4 locked off cameras now, but like I said, it can take us 2 days to go through the footage of 4. So to a degree, we're a bit sort of loath to go for any more.
Yeah.
So
we've got a brand new camera because I've got this now, and you've seen the camera on it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
The only thing is, obviously, it's not not full spectrum or night vision, so it's going to be like full bright white light. But we've got to replace one of our cameras because of an accident at Daniel's Mill. It's sort of like the ability to fix it to something is broken, so we've got to replace that. But we were already looking at expanding our cameras into the full spectrum anyway, to try and sort of increase the quality of the film and such. So
we had with the box of batteries, didn't we, Bri? Yeah, the 12-volt rig batteries we use for everything. I was carrying them over my shoulder, and the box sort of gave way and smashed 4 of the batteries on the floor. So £80 a pop. That was a big loss.
Ouch.
Thankfully, I got some more, but that wasn't good. That was bad time.
I like the 12-volt batteries we've got when it comes to like the IR floodlights because they're quite handy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at some point, I'm going to invest in some bigger, brighter ones that go further, like for when we're outside. So you're not really having to worry about sort of your camera, like worrying your range of your camera's like IR lamp outside because you've already got illumination as it is.
Right, guys, I am just going to pop in for a Jimmy Riddle. I'm going to mute my mic. You two have a chat. I'll be back in 5 minutes, okay? Less than that.
So, have you guys ever thought about, like we do, we branch out into different things like history and such? Have you guys ever thought about doing that as well, like adding to the channel?
Yeah, I mean, I know Nath is really big with his history. Obviously, as you know, he loves all of his history. So we've had lots of different ideas of things that we're going to be doing. So obviously, we've done the mysteries of the paranormal. Nath's done his world's most famous hauntings. From a history side of view, it is something we could probably look at, or other things potentially as well. So yeah, we've got sort of ideas floating about, but to be honest with you, we just can't wait to get back out after lockdown and start investing. I'm sure that you're the same, get back out there and do it. That's killing us.
Speaking of history, I am trying to get back into my history, and pretty much what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to include like the rest of the team onto it as well, and just sort of like bring people in, because I know Jay wants to get back into the swing of things because it was a case of he had too busy a life to really sort of fit it in, but he's got his stuff in check now and he's wanting to get back into it. So I'm going to pop him back in on the history first. What I was saying to Shell is I like journey around the country as time goes by. I'll include people like in the videos. And I was thinking that if you guys are interested in doing some of the videos with me, you're more than welcome to, because I know there's lots of like history out that way. So
tons like this side, definitely.
So, but
sounds like a good idea. I'll go for that.
Yeah, it's just a general wondering because M&A TV, I mean the history's sort of still a bit slow because I took a huge break from it, but M&A TV seems to have kicked off thanks to Shell, and the history's getting there again. I'm just going to try and keep them nice and short and sweet, really, but
it's good.
Just sort of general wonder because you do all the different videos and you drum up a huge amount of interest for having that variety.
No, I mean we do like the history side of things as well, so we'll definitely get involved 100% with that. Love to.
I was going to ask you something, but I can't remember what it is now.
Come to you.
Yeah, but we've just sort of been relaxing upstairs, and I've come down sort of for a drink and to get involved.
You got a t-shirt on now, and you've come down for a chat.
I spent all day at work, so I'll go upstairs and just relax and.
Oh yeah.
Don't blame you. Just lay down and relax, but
it's got to be done, mate. got to be done.
Part of the truth is that some of my painkillers really aren't working, so I'm resorting to the other ones. But that's it. So obviously you talked about like having to face things like that confront you when you go to a location. And we've talked about like when you've been frightened. But have you come? I mean, like I mean, I have a story about a shadow figure that approached me when I took Shell to the tunnel for the first time. Have you had anything like that? Something face you and come after you? Have you had something like that before?
Not true. I think probably the closest thing to it would have been probably our time at the Ram the first time. Like I say, there was something definitely moving out from, you know, afar, where you were in the barn, coming directly towards us. We didn't technically face it. I'm not going to lie to you there. But that's, you know, I was a bit too strong. That was at the time. But that was something coming for us, if you like. Apart from that, I don't think there's been that much of it really. I'd say I'm with the Ram, 100%.
What have I missed?
Right. So I asked Brian, like we've talked about being frightened and sort of being challenged, and sort of being brave. But I asked Brian, like when we did our first investigation of the tunnel, the third part of it, which is not on the video, I took Shell and Jody, and at the end, when the Echovox app sort of called out for me to come back down the tunnel, a shadow figure came out the wall and sort of pretty much walked at me, in which case I sort of panicked and told the other two just sort of to get out. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had something come after you, like face you and come after you?
I think possibly when we were younger, we actually walked into Dowell's graveyard once. And we laugh about it now because we call it the world's shortest investigation, and Brian knows exactly what I'm on about. And it was when we were young and we first started investigating. We walked in with a torch, and you know the river entrance, you'll know it yourself. We walked into the graveyard and stood directly in front of us what just looked like a man, just a male figure, perfectly black. Strange, the only thing I remember is really broad shoulders. Obviously, I'm quite big myself, with very broad shoulders. And I turned to say to Brian, "Did you see that?" And before I could even finish the sentence, he said, "I've seen it." I turned around and he was just bolting, running out of the graveyard. Before
out of here.
And obviously, as you can imagine, I was calling him every name under the sun. Hey, we're in it together, you know what I mean? And I followed him pretty quickly, I'm not going to lie. But that felt like, even on the way home, the walk back, it felt like there was something behind us the whole way. It's almost like we went in there to investigate and something was saying, "Up yours, I got your number here," sort of thing. And
I think
it did.
Sorry. I think I saw someone earlier say about, has anything ever followed you? There was a question, I swear there was a question earlier, a lot earlier. And I was going to say, from you saying that at Dowell's, that's probably one of the only places I ever, like you say, when we left, it always felt like there was something behind us. It's been one of the only places I really felt that, if I'm honest. But it's very continuous.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's Diane Pennock put? I had a dark mist come towards me. Hang on, I'll highlight it. I had a dark mist come towards me and not pass through me, so much as go around me. It was the strangest feeling ever. Not particularly frightening, but very strange. It is strange, though, in them circumstances, sometimes it isn't fear, isn't the initial response. It's more confusion. So that's interesting.
Trying to figure out what it is you should do first.
Yeah, your body doesn't know how to respond, does it? It's not a normal situation. You can't lash out. You can't. You don't know how to respond. Right, let's go back to these questions and have a look. See.
So you've got a few. Doris Dongle Digger says, Nathan, have you taken your wife on a paranormal investigation?
Have I taken my wife on a paranormal investigation? Unfortunately not. I've offered her to come many times, including we were planning a trip up to, was it East Drive or somewhere? But unfortunately, she's not taken with the paranormal in any way, shape, or form. So she's very supportive, but doesn't have any interest in it, so to speak. So no, I haven't to that one.
Here's a good one for you two then. Shell's asked another question. Have you ever had a really nice encounter with a spirit that has made you smile? Just above that one.
I've had a really nice encounter with a spirit that's made you smile. I don't know about that one. I think you can, looking back, you can smile. But I think when you're on an investigation,
it's actually quite rare.
Yeah, it's almost as if you're psyched up for something else. It's almost like you're going into battle or going into a fight. You're psyched up. Your defenses are up. So when you come away, you might look back and think, "Oh, that was actually friendly. That was nice." But at the time, it's almost like you're expecting the worst and you're prepared for the worst. Or
when we went,
that's how I feel.
Sorry. When we went to Daniel's as well, that wasn't like a negative sort of energy there.
No, I agree. I think the only negative energy there comes through the spirit board. Yeah,
I'd have to agree.
I think it's more because they don't like the spirit board. They're not a fan of it, though.
No.
Yeah,
definitely not.
I also think our spirit board, some of the locations it's been, does make me wonder if something's trapped within it, or ever since that night at the Ram, it's been different, hasn't it?
You do like provoking, Nathan, don't you?
Well, I get a lot of jip for it. The way I look at it, we're there to seek the truth. I think if I turn around and say I'm not going to provoke because it's wrong, then in my eyes, I'm already admitting that spirits are real. At which point, there's no point me doing what I'm doing. I think you have to take it to the limit, and you have to push it to prove one way or the other. In my opinion, I know obviously yourself, you're more in tune, and you have a different feeling on it. But for me, I've got to try and prove one way or the other, if that makes sense.
You need to get a second to test that theory.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. I think a lot of people, even when they encounter things, I think given a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a couple of years, they will forget it to the point that they don't believe it anymore. And I think that's why it's so important to capture everything on camera. There's experiences I've had as a child, etc., that I look back on now and I think, God, was it really like that, or was it in my head? Was it where at the time I was convinced and adamant? So I think that's a big thing about getting everything on camera, so you can look back and you can say that did happen. That's not in my head. That did happen. Yeah. For me, that's a really big thing.
Yeah,
100%.
So what questions have you got then? Yeah, I know Karen Fish is asking one on the chat because I can see it.
What do you think of SLS camera? Right, who wants to answer this one?
I suppose. What experience have you two had with it?
We had one a while ago which didn't really work very well and stopped working, to be honest. We've used some with the Paranormal Boys, and honestly, the more I've looked into the technology, I'm not against it. I think they can pick up spirits, I really do. But I also think it is designed to look for something that resembles the shape of a human body, the skeletal form. So I think chairs, etc., can be misinterpreted a lot of the time.
I mean, because it is designed to do that. It literally is actively every moment trying to find something that it can scan and sort of transmit like it would to the Xbox. So it's trying to effectively do its job. So the idea behind it is to try your best to find, maybe, like I said earlier, I was talking to BGH, And I was saying the trouble with it is effectively in the same realm as phone apps, with it being a software-based tool.
Yeah.
And obviously some of them, I think I wouldn't like to say this like for people who make them themselves, but obviously for some of it, I think there is possibly some software programming in it which takes away from the genuineness of it.
I think, as with any equipment, if used correctly, I think and if it's used alongside other equipment, I can see how you can get good results because you can rule things out.
Because I said to be,
sorry, you're using it in a room full of furniture and bloody mannequins or whatever. I think you're just asking for false readings myself.
I said to BGH, I said, my theory behind it is, even if just to rule it out, was to in every location, find something plain and simple, a wall that's plain and simple that couldn't possibly bring up a shape, and then have the person using it being filmed, so the people know that they're not shining any lights or lasers or anything to try and pick up a skeleton or whatnot, or creating any false positives, that it is literally a genuine figure. And then if you've got a plain wall and then something comes up, then you can start asking the question, what's going on there?
I certainly agree with that. Another thing with the SLS camera, which was actually put to me from a bloke I work with, how it's not only big things that can affect the skeletal form it will bring forward. You could actually have a speck of dust going in front of the lens, and that could project as a person. So it is so sensitive. It's like the spider and the burglar alarm sort of thing. It can be set off by such little discrepancies. You have got to be really careful. Right, we've got a few questions here. I'll answer this one quickly. Who's the bold guy? I'm presuming.
I
thought that's why you're smiling. Right, Amelia Crowell. This is Chris. He is from Morris and Anderson Paranormal. They're a group we work with quite often. We've been to the Ram with them, Tunnels with them, Dow's Graveyard with them. They're one of the few groups we work with, we trust, and are happy to work with because of that. You can find their channel linked on our channel on our Facebook. So go check them out, and you will probably see our faces on there as well. So, yeah, that's who that is. There's also a question. Diane Pennock. Where are we? Oh, there we go. I know me and Brian have answered this one. Mine's obviously the site of the Titanic going down. Brian's was the ancient Ram. Where is your dream location to investigate, Chris?
There are two places I really want to do. I really want to hire out the Dana because I watch the live shows and there's really a lot I want to do there. But I watched what's his name? There's a YouTuber, and I think it's in California or Florida, and there's like a house. I can't remember the name. There's an old Civil War age era house, which is like a museum. I keep forgetting the name of it.
Is that to do with Gettysburg? Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really would like to go there because there's so many pictures. It's like it's been on the news and whatnot from time to time. More so there than ours, but I really would like to go there and see what it's like.
I'm fascinated by Gettysburg myself. My dad he studied it for years and years and years when I was growing up, so I had it a bit drummed into me, so I turned away from it a bit, but it was brutal, really, really brutal. And I think some of those battles...
There's a haunted bridge in Gettysburg as well, isn't there? There's a little child supposed to be there. I watch all the different YouTubers like chasing these theories.
Yeah.
And there was a beer can on the edge of the bridge where obviously groups have walked past there and whatnot. And quite conveniently, they turn around and the beer can falls off. But what wasn't convenient was when they turned around and the beer can got kicked towards them. I don't mean string like the can turned and flew towards them. I mean from stationary, it launched at them. And I was just like,
I think a lot of people see Gettysburg and they see like the pictures of the cannons and the muskets and what have you they use. And I think it was that sort of war. It was very hand to hand. The rifles they used were very poor. You'd probably get a shot or two at most, and a lot of the battle was hand to hand. It was real bloodshed, blunt trauma, bayonets, knives. It was really brutal. So yeah, it was really interesting.
What are the questions you got written down, Nathan?
Right. Is there anyone in the chat who's got anything to ask, or I'll get back on here?
He can't read his crayon, Brian.
I can't get the password on my phone. I'm too drunk.
Well, I've got one for you.
That's a good one. Upcoming investigations. I know obviously we're on lockdown at the moment, so it's hard to plan. What upcoming investigations have you guys got planned?
Burlish Chop is one of our first ones, I think, because we did do a vote on it, and we're going to do Burlish Chop. I need to get practicing my Latin again, see if I can get those centurions to come out. But we're interested in the it being a World War II camp. Is it World War II or World War One camp?
It's World War II. It was the American soldiers were based there before the Normandy landings. Patton actually gave a speech there, and then during and after the landings, the wounded were brought back there to recover or die.
I've got to have a think of where we're going to go and what we're going to start doing. I know we want to go back to the Ram, but I think we're saving that for the next season. I think we've got a few ideas of what we actually want to do there, to be fairly honest with you, because we never got to send people in there one by one, which we wanted to do. What we ended up doing the Ouija board at 3 a.m. We want to send people in there one by one to each room on their own.
I think what happened during the night, it probably threw a few of us off, didn't it?
Poor Jodie. We did a small investigation with Steve, and we went to with Steve. But we went to a farmhouse that Steve showed us. But we were going up there sort of bit by bit, different people. But I took Jodie up there, and it's almost as if something was actively chasing him. And I do mean sort of like chasing him, like proper, like keeps on moving around. At sort of points where I could feel like in the open space, I could feel pressure changes in the open space, like around me and around him. And it's a creepy place. And he seems to always be the target, almost as if people spirits seem to know he's much more susceptible than anybody else. Well,
I have to say, I know we have a bit of a joke about Jodie. Like I said, we're going to play him up with the monk outfit and dowels, etc., and what happened at the Ram. But in all fairness, out of every one of us there, he got picked first, and he went in and he took it right on the chin. And I think, personally, I would have struggled with that. I'd have really struggled with that. So,
we did really,
as much as we have a laugh and we joke, I take my hat off to the bloke. I really do. And
he's very brave. He really does try.
Yeah,
I did sort of try and warn him at the Ram because he was about to sit in that seat, and I was very much aware that somebody was already sitting in it. Because it's almost like you pushing a balloon full of hot air in my face. It's really quite. It was really quite obvious, and I was just like, "Don't."
Yeah. So I suppose that's where the inquisitive side of me would have made me sit down, because I couldn't, not sensing that and not knowing that, I'd have had to have In fact, I think I did once you said that. I was right. I've got to do it. I've got to find out. I've got to know one way or the other, sort of thing. Wendy Miller, have you witnessed any activity when you haven't been investigating? Now, I remember when we first met, you told me about activity you were having in your house, Chris. Was it a shadow figure?
Right. So this was a time I literally just got my iPad. I was messing around with it. And this was a time when my mum really, really wasn't well. Yeah. She really wasn't well. And me and my dad were both really worried about it. And I took I was taking pictures, just fiddling around my iPad, trying to distract myself. And I went down into my room, and I had, you know, where you have like it's not a true negative, but it's a negative effect where about changes black and white in the picture.
Like, I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And what my parents' room light was out. Now, out of that room should have come pure white because there was no lights, but instead it was black. Something had altered the light balance in the room. And in the back by my mum's side of the bed were two figures, one short, one really tall. Now, my nan and granddad, my nan was short and my granddad was really, really tall. And no matter how much I tried to repeat that every single day for a fortnight, every single day I would try to repeat that, and every single angle I could never get it to happen again.
Strange. Well, we've got a question here from Victoria Dompra. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I can answer this one. Do any of your experience you've had make you worry and make you not able to sleep? They used to, if I'm honest. They used to. We used to come back from investigations, and I know for a fact Brian used to struggle. I used to struggle. I'd say the only
I have an answer for that one.
Yeah, I think the only time recently, or in recent last year or so, that I've struggled, we did an investigation on who puts Bella in the witch elm, the Hagley Wood mystery. And I did so much research into that. The actual story itself, researching it, almost made me ill. The detail, and it sort of created a sadness that I just couldn't get rid of, and I struggled to sleep during that period of doing the research. And then we did the investigation, and when we did the Ouija board on the investigation, Brian knows exactly what I'm going to say now. It actually started to spell out my daughter's name, and at which point I was literally ready to turn around and say, forget it, I'll walk out of the paranormal world now. I've got no more interest. I don't mind what I bring upon myself, upon Brian, because it's Brian, and he's in it the same way I am. But the thought that something would come home and attach itself to one of the kids, or thankfully it changed at the very last moment and sparked something similar, but not my daughter's name. But I think really did make it hard for me to sleep. I was going into her room, checking on her week after week through the night, just to make sure nothing was happening. Or so yeah, for me anyway. What about you guys?
Well, an interesting thing to say is it not been something that we've done that's not been able to make us sleep, but something prior. So if you can recall, before we went to the Ram, I think every single one of us had bad dreams about the place. Everyone was feeling a bit nervous and anxious before we went. So I think even though we hadn't been, that sort of took an effect on us all.
Most of us.
Yeah.
You had things as well.
I had a strange, it's true. I had a strange impression that I was going to start facing something when I went to the Ram. I had a feeling something was coming, and you know what I'm like. Suddenly I think, oh God, what's going to happen? And then as it became sort of clear that it wasn't negative that something was going to happen. And I really, at the RAM, I put some of the pieces together now in recent days, but I knew something was going to happen. And like I said before, they wouldn't come anywhere near me in the RAM. They stayed away from me completely. They weren't interested in taking me.
I know Brian had his 3 o'clock challenge he wanted to do, and he was adamant on that. But I think with you, I remember you saying that you actually switched off to it when you were there, didn't you, mate? You sort of switched off to the activity and everything.
At the RAM, yeah.
Almost like become shielded to it, cold to it. Maybe the fear actually stopped the open-mindedness, perhaps.
I don't know what it was, because I remember obviously being in the barn with you and Chloe, and both of you two heard that voice clear as day. And watching it back now, like I can hear it clear as day. But at the time, I was like, "What noise?" And I was questioning.
Excuse me. Sorry.
So, yeah, I kind of.
I think it's pretty much an inbuilt defense mechanism. So, from what I'm taught at the moment, that your aura is pretty much there all the time, no matter what you're into or what you do. So as you change your emotional state, you change the energy which is around you, and conscious or subconscious fear will have the same effect. Your mind will go into a state of defense, like no thank you. So what you may hear on camera on the recording, because it's targeted and it shows you that it did happen, for you in the moment, your mind tells your ears and your eyes no.
Yeah, I think it was like a coping mechanism almost, because I thought, well, if I've got to go in there later on, do that, because it was a blindfolded Ouija board, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was obviously horrendous, the thought of that.
Something I wanted to ask everyone in the chat. We've got some upcoming investigations coming up where we got the Hermit's Caves coming up, haven't we? Obviously, once lockdown's over, we've got a few different places. But is there anywhere specific people would like to see us go after the lockdown? Would you like to see us go with M&A? Would you like to give us some ideas of what you'd like to see? Because obviously we know we've been very inactive during the lockdown, because it is what it's had to be.
Whilst they're getting in their answers, I was trying to say to people like John Judge Jeffries and people like that might be willing to travel, we're trying to get groups together that might be willing to chip in to see if we can get maybe a private investigation at the Dana. We're trying to talk to the people that are actually doing the live streams now to see what we can achieve in terms of price.
There's no budge on price, I heard back from him, so it's $1,000 plus VAT.
So it is if we can get groups together, say maybe 4 or 5, we might just be able to do it, because that would be an epic investigation as far as I'm concerned.
I'm sure we'll be up for that, wouldn't we, mate?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the minimum number that you need?
There is no minimum. I just spoke to him and said that we were looking for 4, 5 at max small teams. So I said up to like 5 members per team, although it's more likely with the teams that we've asked to be 3, 4 members per team. And then we do it on a rotational basis. So we pick out so many areas of the prison and spend like an hour each in that area, and then rotate around to the next one. But so the numbers weren't a problem, but he wasn't budging on the price. So
they're trying to buy the place, and they haven't fully bought it yet. So they're trying to get in the money so they can complete the purchase and make it theirs, aren't they? So they can turn it into
with us. As long as we can lock the place down with our 4 cameras and do our thing, we're happy to join in. That's not a problem.
I mean, there's always going to be bits that can make it massive. There's always going to be cells and stuff that are going to be free the entire night, that you can leave things running that won't be disturbed, and we'll make sure everyone knows, like if people are setting up cameras, not to
who's what
go near the area or whatnot. Yeah, and we'll obviously the teams we've asked so far are only trusted teams that we have worked with or spoken with numerous times. So
yeah, I'm sure that could be a good night. I'd be honest, I don't actually
I'm gonna go
know
to bed, so see you later, guys.
research. Oh, see you, Shell. Okay. Yeah. Right. Did we have any more questions? I'll just quickly go through the chat and check any more questions.
I was going to ask you one earlier.
Oh dear, what's that?
You you did your one on the Stanley Hotel recently, didn't you?
Oh, the world's most famous hauntings. Yeah, I did indeed.
Yeah. What's next?
See, now that, and I can be totally honest now, even Brian doesn't know this. Brian didn't know the Stanley Hotel was coming out. I've kept it totally secret. I can tell you I'm part way through it, but I can't tell you what it is.
Already?
Top secret.
Yeah.
I'm in the research sort of situation. All I'll say is it's famous. It's very famous. So
your sex toy,
but
very famous.
The story itself isn't that famous. The film, there was a film made about it, which is very famous. I'm going to end up giving this away, ain't I?
Yeah, I'd shut up if I were you. If you wanted to.
It's on the head now. You'll see. You'll see. It should be out in the next week or two. So yeah.
So, if you had anywhere for us to investigate, where would it be, guys?
I want to see what you guys make of Burlish Top, to be honest. It's a place we've done the odd live from, but we have never investigated properly. So it'd be interesting to see what you, because other than the Bridge North Tunnel, we've been places first and you followed us. So it'd be nice for you guys to investigate this first, and then perhaps we follow you to see if we can match your evidence or get similar sort of answers.
It definitely has a vibe. It definitely has a vibe about it. Not so much the point of general pattern and the field beyond it, but I think more the guardhouse we went down. We went down the wrong route. And that building definitely had something to it.
Well, even during the late 50s, I think it was, maybe even early 60s, it was used as an army training centre, and there was a rifle range there, etc. So it's not been disbanded that long, and obviously its history is quite vast. So
it definitely will be interesting, especially when we went back to the car. We were going back to the cars, and we were facing into that forest. Literally, for everyone watching, we did the tour around Burlish Shop. They were showing us around. They showed us Burlish Shop, and we walked back to the car. And I was asking them about a section of the forest which we hadn't walked into, and I was getting a vibe from. And then I asked someone to move forward, and they did. I literally asked someone to step forward.
We actually took some photos, didn't we? We had a strange photo there.
We had a figure in one of them, didn't we? That sort of stepped
a misty figure in front of the tree. Yeah, that was strange. I remember that now.
I can see the messages rolling in, which I know Brian's looking at the moment.
We got Karen. She's told me not to tell where the next World's Famous Hauntings is. We've got Edinburgh Vaults. No, it's not the Edinburgh Vaults, I can tell you that. Lee Castle, it's not that. You're not getting it out of me. I'm not going to tell anybody.
Lee Castle,
I'm not telling anybody. So, Lee Castle would be a good one to investigate.
Yeah.
I'd love to investigate Lee Castle at some point. Also, I'd like to go back to Colston Bassett.
That was a good.
The church you had the arm pull out.
I had a bit of a strange experience there that stayed with me, and I was ill for a long time after. But I'm at the point now. I do feel like I'd like to go back and a bit like I was with the Ram the first time. At the point now, I'd like to go back.
I have a strange feeling. Your arm? I have a strange feeling someone was attempting to help you, and more so that if something was attempting to hurt you, it would have just done it. But the fact that it was squeezing and trying to stop your arm from moving whilst you were doing pendulum suggests they were trying to stop the process in question, which generally indicates you were about to contact something you don't want to contact. So they were trying to stop you.
I do think that'd be a really good location for you guys to go to, actually.
I was thinking about it, to be fair.
It is a really good location. You got the story. Well, you got a lot of stories. I mean, there's actually a lot of sightings of bodies walking up the hills. I can't remember the story exactly, but it was called Hangman's Hill. It was called, or
Gallows Hill.
Gallows Hill. That's it. They used to hang all the victims there. And a lot of people have witnessed people walking up the hills in mass numbers with actual crick necks, as if they were hung.
Wow.
So that's interesting. There's also said to be tunnels underneath there where satanic worship was taking place, which, as you can imagine, underneath a church is interesting in itself. Then there's the young lady who fell and drowned in the river. Well, it's more of a stream, but fell and died in there at the bottom of the church. There's a lot of good history there, a lot of good sightings there, but I think it'd be a really good place for you guys to investigate. It's a little bit of a trek. It's about an hour, something like just over an hour. It's not too bad.
More than that. It's worth it. Definitely worth it.
But it's beautiful. It's totally isolated as well. There's nothing around it, so the contamination's minimalised straight away. If that makes sense, you're completely in the middle of farmers' fields for miles and miles, so that does help. But I definitely recommend that one.
One of my favourite locations, that was actually easily.
Yeah.
What, Austin Bassett?
Yeah, easily one of the best.
Yeah. It's a strange experience. You walked in there. I've never really smelt it, but the best way to describe it is smelling death. It just felt like death. That's all I can say. I can't explain where that comes from, that feeling, but it was just, the whole area was just, it's like there was a cloud over it. Like it was just reeked to death.
It just depends on the amount of history, the amount of like sort of dark history that's been through there, the amount of trauma and pain and emotional anguish that goes through there, because it all sort of tends to, it's what is, when it comes to sort of residual sort of stuff that goes on, the more you get, the worse it gets, and the worse the energy gets, because residual energy is more to do with emotional states than it is like conscious intelligence. So with that era of history, you probably get more negative goings on than anything else. So you pile that all up on top of each other, you're bound to get some sort of really quite dodgy negative experience going on there whenever you go there. It depends how sensitive you are to it. But
I know, was it Clophill you wanted to go, Brian?
Yes, I've always fancied there. But that's all like, is it alarmed out? Is it like security and
say again, sorry?
It's all got like security, hasn't it? Clophill. So you can get stopped there. Yeah. Like Chloe alarms there. So but that's somewhere we did look into, because I've always quite fancied that one.
Clophill, where's
Clophill is it Essex? Something's telling me Essex. I could be wrong. Oh, it's not one I've really looked into. Chloe's put there's alarms there. It's near her. I vaguely recall you saying about alarms. Wendy Miller has put Redstone Caves. Now that is the Hermit's Caves we are actually going to investigate, and we're looking forward to investigating. So, well done, you've worked that one out. Yeah, that will probably be our next investigation, Redstone Caves.
Cool. Look forward to that.
Yeah, we did that.
So what are your, just before I go, because it's near enough my bedtime now.
Yeah, we're enough soon.
Yeah. What have you got planned for the future? Not just like investigations. What projects have you got planned for the future?
We've been approached about doing a few group events. There's a museum that wants us to do group events. There's obviously Daniel's Mill. We're not an event company. We're not really in it for money. So if we do events, it will probably be Daniel's Mill, and it will just be limited groups to try and get them to experience what you and I and Brian experience on investigations. Not to go and be in big groups chanting or all collective together, but to experience what it's like to be on your own during an investigation. So we might do some of that. Obviously, we'll continue with our investigations mini-series and go from there, really. What about you, Brian? Any plans, any ideas?
Same as you.
We're going to wants to set up a live situation. Sorry to cut you up, which I know I've said before, but basically a live investigation with like a helmet camera.
I was going to say this is a virtual investigation.
Yeah, virtual investigation, that's the word. So somebody can actually tell Brian or myself what to do. We will be, one of us will be monitoring the live chat. The other person will be contacted via radio. So, for example, Brian could be in Dow's graveyard. I could be in the car park. And I could be monitoring it and telling him what to do via what the people in the chat want to see. Potentially pick a different person each night or a different person per half hour or 15 minutes or something to try and make it as virtual as possible.
Some GoPros have got a wireless connection, haven't they?
Yeah. It's that sort of idea we wanted to do.
Yeah.
We got, here you go, Brian, just for you. Oh, I'll tell you what, Victoria, if you message us on Facebook, I'll send you his number because I'm drunk. Okay.
the swaying going on. Your beer box earlier, I was going to say, oh crap. But Chloe had competition. On your lap, we all remember that.
Cheers, Wendy.
We love you, Wendy.
I must be the brains, then that's all I can say.
I said to Brian, I'm gonna get you involved in my history walks as I sort of continue around Shropshire and stuff like that.
Personally, I'd be really interested in that because obviously the history side of it I'm massively into. I'd always watch them, so I would be interested in that.
Yeah, so I am going to be sort of, I mean, ideas for places we can go and the history behind them, but I will be looking out that way so I can get you guys involved in it. Because, like I said to Bryce, I'm going to get like people from the group like Jay and Steve and everyone like involved in some of the videos because it's more of a team thing now than just a solo act from me. It sort of makes sense. And I said to Shell, like, I might get some of the other people we know, friends like John Judge Jeffries and Bob Hunt, and so as we go around the country and like near our allies, get them involved with some of the history and some of the like ghost stories and maybe investigations as well. Sort of start.
That would be brilliant.
Trying to create like a web, like an alliance of people that work together.
A group of people you could trust would be great. I've just noticed DNA Paranormal have mentioned Three Legends, been watching all your stuff, love it. I just want to say a big thank you to DNA because there was a long time ago I was watching one of their live feeds at the Station Hotel, I think it was. And I think I was working at the time, so I couldn't come, but they did actually invite us to pop up and join them one night, which I thought was really awesome. So I want to thank you for that, guys. And I hope you
Paranormal. You're awesome.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Comments below that. That's like one of my best comments ever. Seriously, watched everything the other night, and Chris is awesome.
And
I love you too.
They haven't called you bold, me ugly, and they're not trying to shag Brian, so it's really good.
Who's the bold guy? It was like, not hi, Dave. Who's the bold guy? Thank you.
There you go.
I'm growing back really fast, so I'm probably gonna shave. Oh, Brian.
There you go, I'm in there.
Oh dear.
I knew we'd have been better off in the porn industry with Ryan. He's wasted in the paranormal. He's wasted.
You know, I could say something now that you said that, but I'll probably get hurled some abuse on the chat if I do. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, probably a wise choice. We will invite you whenever. We love you. That'd be great, guys. We are local. I think you guys, I don't know if you're based Dudley Way, West Brom, Walsall. I think you're up that way, if I remember. Which obviously we're only like Kidderminster, so we're not far away. So if you want to meet up, just let us know. Yeah, be up for that. We've got loads of local locations. That'd be cool. Obviously, we have to wait for this bloody lockdown to finish, but yeah, we'll definitely be up for that. And like I said, really appreciate the invite. So, on that note, guys, I think we're going to have to start to wrap this up. Because if I'm honest with you,
Me and Brian are laughing because the chat message coming up on here. Literally, you've got to wrap it up because you're swaying, and I can see the beer sweats coming out of you. We're wetting us up. We can see it.
It's getting to the point it's going to get messy if we don't go. So,
yeah.
So yeah, I'll knock it on the head now, guys. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. Brian, it's absolutely brilliant. Mate. I've missed you a lot.
Missed you too.
Miss you too, man.
Yeah,
you guys. You look after yourself.
Yeah,
but
thanks, Karen, Chloe, Shell, Wendy, everyone, DNA, everyone who's been in the chat and kept us company tonight. Appreciate it. If you've enjoyed it and you want us to do it again, let us know. We'll do it again. We're not usually a team that does much lives. We don't really do the chatting thing, but to be honest, we tried it.
DNA Paranormal saying, we caught the end. You'll have to get them involved in your next live stream.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. They can always join us and we'll have a chat. And it's always good to chat to, more people.
Yeah.
So, happy days. I'm never grouchy at work. Never.
I'm waiting.
How many people get tomorrow? Right. Anyway, guys, thank you all. You take care. You stay safe.
Thanks for having me, guys. We'll catch you soon.
Catch you later.
See you soon, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.